Now, did that sound familiar?
It certainly did.
Wow.
Many memories.
Yeah, yeah. So I have Midge Page here today in my backyard, and we're going to talk about some of the Swanzey schools and the history, things that you may not realize, and maybe you already do, but maybe it'll bring back some memories. So
The very early schools.
right, right. So we have also, besides Midge, we have Lean Dunham and Grace Goodenough, different generations that we're going to talk with a little bit today about different memories that you guys might have. So I know, where do we start?
Early memories.
I know. So you've been to 2 or 3 different schools that were in Swanzey. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your experiences?
Well, most of my experience was at the school in Swansea Center, Wilcox.
Wilcox. And the Wilcox School, we were just talking, but the Wilcox School is in Swansea Center, and it had a huge pine tree just fall down on it. I
Yes,
know.
it
It's
did.
so sad. It's such a beautiful building, and you actually went to school there.
I actually did.
And what grades were you in there?
4 to 8.
Okay.
My sister was in the baby room, 1 to 4.
Yeah. So they had they had like kindergarten right up through 8th grade or so?
First grade.
First grade. Okay,
First
so
grade.
I'm sorry.
No
Okay.
kindergarten.
Okay. Kindergarten, what is that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so but they did have lots of different students of different ages in that group.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The grades were separated by simply a row of desks.
Mm-hmm.
You might be in the 4th grade in the first row, then it went up to the 8th grade. When you got to the 8th grade, you were the big kids in the
Whoa.
school. It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah. But the teacher was teaching like,
One teacher, she would work with 1 grade at a time.
wow.
It really worked out well because you could hear, after you got your work done, you could hear her with the other grades, and when you got to the next level, things were sort of familiar.
Right.
Because you'd heard it.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. You know, you must have felt a lot closer to your schoolmates too, even though they were different ages.
Oh, we
because
did.
you weren't like in a group of 30 kids all.
There were so
at
few of us. When I
Right.
graduated, there were 9 of us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you did.
Yeah.
And and the nice part of it is being in the same area so that you can see them when you're grown up.
Right.
You just form this little group, like you said.
And that's
It's
why
wonderful.
Swansea has that because, it's more rural
Right.
if you really think about
Right.
it. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, that is so cool. Now, did you ever come here to Cutler?
I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't. But my sons all came through Cutler.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. Now, where did you go from Wilcox then?
To the high school.
Okay. And
We
where was
went
the high
through
school?
8th grade. I didn't go to the high school in Keene, but that's where you normally would go.
I
We
see.
moved away. But
Okay, yeah.
at
But
that
so,
time.
so Monadnock didn't have a high school
They did
until,
not.
I don't know, in the 60s or
in
something?
the 60s, right.
And so all the students were actually going to the Keene High School,
were
which
going
was
to
actually
Keene.
the middle school, I think, the
That's
one that was
right,
on Washington
right,
Street.
yes,
Yeah.
that's where they were
Yep.
going.
Yeah, yeah. So let's back up a little bit further. And I know you weren't here back then, but in
Well,
the 17 and 1800s,
I'm not sure.
17 and 1800s, they had several teachers that would come in, and it was so funny. I was reading a report that you folks had about what the teachers had to do.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. Let me pull a couple of these, and let me just read a few of these to you guys. So the rules given to the teachers throughout the state, even in 1872. Teachers each day will fill the lamps, clean the chimneys, and trim the wicks. Wicks meaning of the candles and things like that, or might have been the lanterns.
The lamps.
Each teacher will bring a bucket of water and a scuttle of coal for the day's session. Make your pens carefully. And what does that mean?
Well, they whittled the things that you put the little nibs in. For
Really?
The end of that was one
Wow.
of their duties.
Wow. You may whittle the nibs to the individual taste of the pupil.
All right.
Men teachers may take 1 evening each week for the purpose of courting, or 2 evenings a week if they go to church regularly. Wow, so if you're a good boy, you can go out more often. Okay. After 10 hours in school, the teachers will spend the remaining time reading the Bible or other good books. Women teachers who marry or engage in unseemly conduct will be dismissed. Every teacher should lay aside from each day a goodly sum of the earnings for his benefit during his declining years, so that he will not become a burden to society. Now, this is all really funny because it goes on and on and on. And if you were a good teacher, you would get a raise.
25 cents.
25 cents a
year.
year.
After 5 years of good behavior.
Can you imagine? It really gave people an incentive to be a teacher, didn't it? Unbelievable. So tell me a little bit more
And
about.
the teachers all lived with families.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Usually close to the school.
Uh-huh.
And the families treated them like a family member.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would come around. It would something like the ministers. They used to come around to the house. The teachers would occasionally do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you have a favorite teacher or a teacher that really brings back memories for you?
In the yes,
That-
I
that
do.
one that
I
stands out
certainly-
for
yes,
whatever
I do.
reason.
Her name was Miss Sargent.
Uh-huh. And was she a sergeant?
No, she's really very easy. She let
Uh-huh.
us go 2 by 2 outdoors to study.
Uh-huh.
We had so much fun because the cemetery was right in back of the school, and we go over and read the gravestones and have all kinds of fun.
So you really enjoyed her.
I loved her.
Oh, that's so
'cause
wonderful.
She was easy.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I bet you still learned a lot. So.
Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was after the early schools were held in homes. Around.
Right. And now, when they did start the schools, did they have the boys in one room and the girls in another? Did they do any of that kind of stuff?
They did eventually. When they first started, of course, they were just in a room, so they were sort of mixed.
Yeah.
But when they actually built 2 schools, they had the boys and the girls. They separated. I think it was like 20 by 20, and they separated the boys
And was
from
this
the girls.
at Wilcox still, or?
There were just 2 schools after the homeschooling began to wane. There was just 2 schools in Swansea Center and West Swansea. This school,
Which is
Cutler
Cutler.
School,
Yeah,
was
wow.
very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know, I'm going to ask Lee to come in, and we'll talk a little bit about Cutler School and the changes that we've seen here. So thank you, Mitch.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
It's
that was
nice
great.
to visit with you.
Thank you. Thanks. So you may not know what this is that I have in my hands here, because we don't use these anymore. It's chalk and a chalkboard. This is actually a piece of slate that they would have written on. And Lee, where did this come from?
This came from Cutler School, the original Cutler School. And they've got it written on it approximately 1875. And I believe that is when it was built. But that's not, and we're in the old section of the building right now.
Yep.
And that's fitting for this show. I was in Cutler in the 60s, late 60s. And at that point, it sort of looked like it does today, but they've added to it. So.
They always change. Yeah.
But Cutler School suffered a fire.
And when was the fire?
The fire was in 1945.
Okay.
It burned off. Cutler School, the original pictures, which I think we've got for you to roll at some point, actually was 2 stories. There was two rooms upstairs, 2 rooms downstairs. And the top 2 were destroyed. And these 2 bottom ones were smoke damaged and water damaged. But what I'm told is the kids are only out of school for like 2 weeks, and they got them back into these rooms here. That's how determined they were to get this thing back.
Or the parents didn't want the kids at home. No, no.
Well, no, they actually sent them off to Keene to school for a while.
Yeah.
So no one was hurt.
Yeah,
It
that's great.
happened after kids weren't here. So, and that brought the school to again. They built it to a 4-room schoolhouse, but 2 down here, and then the addition in the back, which is brick. Won't burn.
Yeah.
When I came here, they'd already added on, and they put 2 rooms on top of those.
On top of the back?
Right.
Okay.
And they put the wing out at the side to here, and there was like 3 rooms out there, and the nurse's office and the principal's room.
So when you came to school, were the other schools still in existence? Were they using Wilcox or any of those?
Wilcox was used only when it had to be. I think when I was there, they actually weren't using it, and then they brought it back again because they had started to overcrowd a little bit more.
Yeah. So how many students were in your classes here?
Oh, I think, only had like 20, 25 kids in a class.
And that was just one, each grade had that many?
Yeah, and I was in a pretty much, I think there was probably about 70 or so in each grade. I mean, not so much do I remember it here, but in Mount Caesar where I was, there was 3 first grades, 3 second grades, and 3 third grades, and that's it. And so I'm sure it didn't change much over here.
Right, right.
What else we've got? I mean, my father, I've got to talk about my father because
Yeah.
I'm close to the schools. It died with my father, however. My grandmother was a teacher in one of the one-room schoolhouses in town, schoolhouse number 5.
And where was that located?
Schoolhouse number 5 was on the end of Causeway Road, right by Sawyer's Crossing Road. Not there anymore.
Oh.
And my father ended up being a teacher at Wilcox. I believe he taught at Hopkins. He was the principal here at Cutler in 1950, and also the first principal / teacher for Mount Caesar.
Wow.
And Mount Caesar, for those trivia question out there, it wasn't Mount Caesar when it first opened. It was actually Swanzey Consolidated School, 8 grades, and it didn't have a real name yet. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So what made them decide to change the name, or did they?
I haven't uncovered that one yet.
Yeah, because you do
But
a lot
it
of
made
you do a lot
sense
of
to
history.
call it Mount Caesar.
Yeah, you've got quite a good collection of
Yeah.
photographs and stories and memorabilia from
Trying
through the ages.
Yeah, my effort is to try to preserve this, and because if it just goes away, I
Right.
mean, nobody's going to know these things.
Right. Well, just like Wilcox, that's one of the buildings that we've gone by so many times, and then again with this tree falling on it, it's like, do they save it or do they get rid of it? I hear that they're going to save it.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is they are going to
Yeah,
save.
yeah, but that's going to be expensive. But the other thing is, if you don't save that, it will be gone just like that other schoolhouse, and you'll
Oh,
never
yeah.
see it again.
We had, when my grandmother was teaching, there was 11 schoolhouses in town. Cutler was one of them, and all the other ones, for the most part, have gone by the wayside and been sold off.
Right,
and
right.
they're either private residences now, or they were moved off-site, and who knows what happened to them.
Right,
So.
yeah. So what are some of your memories of being here? What did you like about being at Cutler?
Oh, at Cutler School, in my era, you have to talk about one teacher and one teacher only, Miss Turner. Actually, there's 2 teachers.
I don't know if
want
it's
to talk.
related, probably not, but
No. Mildred Turner, and she had a reputation, the reputation that if you did anything wrong in her class, you would definitely be, there was the rumor, always
have a
the
ruler?
rumor, ruler, but also she threw books and stuff. That was the rumor. I never can confirm seeing that happen, but
Right.
she was very strict, and you learned your times tables with her. Believe me, you learned your timetables every week. You did them.
2 times 3.
2 times 3. So I got it right. But anyway, that's one. But the other one was Mr. Bardis. Mr. Bardis was my 6th grade teacher. He was at that point also the principal of the school, and he was here like proverbially forever. I mean, he was here when I got here. He was here years. I think my son had him. So yeah, he was a nice guy.
So he didn't throw books.
No.
Yeah. And what was? Do you have a story of anything that strange that happened while you were here, or something as a kid you thought, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this."
Strange. Well, I don't know if I really had anything strange happen here.
Yeah.
But I was here in the days when the tennis court was full out there.
They had a tennis court here.
There was a tennis court.
Wow.
Part of this land is actually town land, and it's actually called Brown Memorial
Oh
Field.
yeah, because they have the softball fields and everything.
And
Yep.
so the school and the Brown Memorial Field sort of run together, but the part that was Brown Memorial Field, they put in a tennis court, and every winter they flooded it. Fire department would come, flood the tennis court, and guess what we did every recess? We all skated.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's a good memory because
Yeah.
you don't have that happen very often where you're able to go out and do that kind of stuff. And it's great that the kids were outdoors,
Yep.
and that
And
you were all playing together.
Just everybody did it.
Yeah.
You brought your skates to school.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's almost like everybody riding their bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cool. So, I wonder what has changed since the time that you were here to the time when Grace was here. So,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure a lot.
I'm sure. Well, let's talk with Grace and we'll see what she has to say.
That sounds good.
Good. 3 times 6?
3 times 6? 18.
Okay. So here's a piece of local trivia. Have you ever heard of the guy Ahaz Howard?
Not until today.
And what do we know about Ahaz now?
That he invented a lot of school supplies, and he helped invent the piece of, what is that, chalkboard?
What is that? She says, what is that? She has no clue what this is. We used all of this, didn't we? We wrote on it with chalk.
Yeah.
You know what chalk is?
Yes, I know what chalk is. I use it on my pavement sometimes.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So, yeah, I kind of miss the chalkboards, but, oh, well. Now what do you guys have? You have the dry erase boards? And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the things that project up, and you...
Yeah.
I think that's so cool with the computer thing,
Yeah.
that you can type something in and it goes right up onto the board.
Yeah, we have smart boards.
These newfangled things, can you imagine why the time people see this, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that was so...
We use smart boards. It's like they put it on top of the whiteboard,
Right.
and when they put it up, there's like a magical pen, they call it, and
Yeah.
like that you can move stuff around on the board without having to go to the computer. So like it's interactive with the students.
What would Ahaz have said? He would have been like, you've got to be kidding
Yeah.
me. This is just too complicated. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
So school has changed a little bit from when Midge and when Lee were here at Cutler. What about you? I mean, have things changed at all? I mean, and were there things that you didn't know about Cutler?
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a fire, for one, and I didn't know that they even added on to the building, because I remember when my dad would come in for the open house nights for me and my brother, he'd come in and say, I don't remember this chunk of the building. I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because you know nothing different.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was there when I came here,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
I think for things that changed for me, I think they do third grade or something, like they switched the gradings around, so I was here when it was 4 through 6, and I think now it's extended on from that, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you were saying that you used to have beach parties here?
Okay, so the room that's actually right next to the one that we're in is actually down in the basement. I don't know if they still use it as a classroom, but Mrs. Marchand, when we were in there, she was one of my favorite teachers, and Mrs. Simons, the woman who was in here, we would rotate around with her, so I'd go down there, and we would get all these huge rainstorms, and when that would happen, the basement would flood a little. And she was quite a character, like I said, one of my favorites, and she ended up having a beach party because there was so much water on the floor. So we came in with like beach floaties and beach towels, and we just had a party down there, like made positive of the flood that was downstairs.
So she made lemons into lemonade.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. So what other memories do you have of coming to Cutler? Do you ever remember anybody that really inspired you as a teacher?
Actually, I think Mrs. Simons was. She was, when I was, of course, like a little kid when I came in here, and 5th grade I had her, and I always thought, like, she was my ideal teacher. She was what I thought was going to be, she was perfect as a teacher, and unfortunately her husband passed away while I was here. And when she came back from that, she came back stronger, and I was like, wow, if she can come back from such a tragedy, maybe I can do that too.
Yeah. So she was inspiring too.
Yeah, it was very inspiring.
Yeah, yeah. So what kind of activities did you like to do when you were in school?
I think soccer was one of them. Like, I always had a huge thing for soccer when I was in PE. That was always my favorite sport. And then I continued on to play it, and I'm not playing it this year, but in high school, because I had the PE teacher say, wow, you're really good at this soccer, you should keep playing it.
Yep.
So I guess that's really it. And when they put up the volleyball nets, a lot of my friends and I started up like a little kid pickup team, and we'd come down here a lot and play volleyball, but I don't think it's out there anymore. I don't know why. But
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's
So
it.
you've always come here. You don't know anything different, from there. And then now you're at Monadnock.
Yeah.
So now there's the schools over there for the middle school and for high school.
Yes.
Yep. And what do you think about high school? I know, it's such a tough question, and you're there. I mean, like putting you on the spot. But, what I've seen from Monadnock is you've got some really great teachers there.
Oh yeah.
And, if I was to look back, I came from Keene. And of course, with Keene, we kind of had a rival when I was in school.
Still is
there?
apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, I always thought, oh, Monadnock. They're just Monadnock, a
Yeah.
bunch of farmers. but now that I see the school and I see the experience that you guys have, and I see the inspirational students that come out, like some of the drama club stuff that you guys do,
Yeah.
and just how talented some of these students are. I'm just amazed to see in a small area like Swanzey has how much talent comes out of there.
Yeah, we've actually had people from who would come to see our stuff at the drama department. They would come in and they walked up to our drama teacher or the director, Paul Titeman. He said that one of the people came in and said it wasn't any, it was just like Broadway.
It was.
And when he told us that, I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. A couple years ago, I watched you guys do Cats.
Oh yeah, that was my first show I had a lead in. I was so excited.
It was so great. And that show, I saw Cats on stage after that, and I was let down
Yeah.
because you guys did such a great job. It was really
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
We actually, like, behind the scenes of it, we actually, like, were half picked on, I guess, for, hey, why are you wearing spandex and wigs? It's like, well, if you actually understood theater, you'd understand that that's a huge, big deal to rent costumes like that.
Right, and there was a lot of costumes in that. And
Yeah.
I could not believe the dialogue that you guys had
Yeah.
to memorize.
Yeah.
There's no way I could ever do that.
It's almost like an opera. It's all music.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
really, it was so much fun. And the dance, like, that was a workout in itself, just learning all those dance steps. I love doing the drama department. I learned so much. Like, I knew very little about music. Yeah, I hear music on the radio. That's pretty much what I knew. And now I'm, like, in the high school chorus. I do drama, and it is so much fun. And I've learned so much, so.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, looking back, like when Midge went to school, do you think they ever thought about having a drama club? I mean, they might have had, they did plays, I'm sure,
Yeah.
because they probably did like a Christmas festival and things
Yeah.
like that. But look at where things have gone
Yeah.
from back then
Yeah.
when they did homeschooling, then they started having schoolhouses. They had 11 schoolhouses, and then they go into schools and they have the boys and the girls in different areas,
Yeah.
and then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And look at where we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unimaginable, really,
Yeah.
you know, to think of the things that kids are able to do right in this area. So, yeah. So, let's see. What would you like to see happen?
In our,
If you
like,
were, yeah,
what do you mean?
in your next 2 years, because you're a junior this year, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In your next 2 years, what would you like to see happen with the schools, or do you have anything that you're inspired about?
Personally, it might sound lame, but like less like separation between the jocks and the drama kids. Like sometimes
it's
there's
always-
like, yeah, like there's always been something, but I know it's been getting better. But personally, I'd like to see more of like
Right.
separation of that. I mean, I guess that's like really it.
Yeah.
That's really small compared, but like right now, Monadnock like is. I know like a lot of people like, I'm gonna leave Monadnock, go to Keene, and I talk to the people who go to Keene. They're like, I want to stay at Monadnock. It's such a better community, and it's like tighter.
Yeah.
So
Well, they all have their good things and bad
Yeah.
things, and I'm sure that all of us, we've all been through the high school, and what ends up happening is you're always going to have that.
Yeah.
You're always going to have jocks and heads, or
Yeah.
jocks and drama students, and all these things, and like in high school, it seems like such a big
Yeah.
deal.
And
But
then, like, when
get
you
out,
leave, it's like nothing.
It was nothing. That's like the beginning of your life.
Yeah.
So, all of this schooling for all of these kids throughout the ages has been wonderful because it makes you bloom and blossom,
Yeah.
It's just great. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I'm really glad that you were here today,
Yeah.
and Midge and
you.
Lee as well. So, thank you for joining us in my backyard. If you're interested in more information about the schools or getting a report, more information about some of the teachers, what they did in the 1900s, please email us. And our email address is inmybackyardch8@gmail.com. And we'll get back to you if you're interested in more information, or if you'd like to share something that you know about that maybe needs to be brought out to the community. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll see you again in my backyard, and I think that bell's going to ring pretty soon, so we better get out of here.
Yeah, I think we should. I don't want to hear it.